Hello friends, my name is Arun and today I am here with a guide which will show you a step-by-step production of a website. Now for this project I am using OBS Studio Screen Recorder, which is a great software, and trust me, I am not being sponsored by them, but it is a free source, open to all studio recorder which is used by many gamers for Twitch TV and YouTube videos. And because they provide their software free to all, it becomes, you know, a duty on my part to tell you about their software. It's an amazing software. I've been using it. Actually, this is my first time I'm using it for YouTube video, but I've been using it for some other programs, and it works beautifully. Now let us come back to this video of ours. Now, for my introduction, I must complete my introduction. I'm Arun and I work as a web designer and developer for Kesavi Web Solutions.in. Kesavi Web Solutions.in provide professional services for web designing and development, including hosting, management of your content, and a lot of other services, which will be updated in near future. You can visit the website on ksvwebsolutions.in. You can find the link in the description of this video. Go there and see what services you can avail of. Now let's go ahead with this guide. Now I came up with this guide with sole idea in my mind for those people who like to do it themselves, like people like me, people who are eager to learn the nuances of coding and building a website professionally, and even for those who are not, very proficient in coding, or who are not lent, who do not have inclination towards coding but do want to visit a website or design a website. Trust me, I have something for you too. So stick with me and let's see what is there in this guide. Now, when we do anything, like when we start a project or when we take up some project, then there are certain stages to that product, from start to end, from beginning to finishing. There are certain stages, and so are there in this website designing. you know there are stages in website designing as well. What are those stages? Let us see. Now those stages are: now, there are certain steps involved in the production of a website, and those are the first of very first step in any project, including website designing or any project, is planning. Now, without planning, it's like going to war without a weapon. Planning covers almost, I won't say 50 to 60%, but 40%, 30 to 40% part of your whole project. If you have planned well, then it becomes easier to implement, and when implementation becomes easy, you have, less obstacles on your way. You even have a plan to tackle those obstacles. Now, what planning actually means in website designing, we will go into the details of that when we go through next slides, and through this guide I will in detail, tell you what planning means in website designing. And what comes after planning? Designing. Yes, designing itself comes after planning. After you have done your planning, then you go back to designing. You design your website. Now, how do you design your website? That should be explored by us in a few moments. After that, it comes launching. That is the most important part, and that is the part which, people wait for. They put in all their hard work, plan into planning and designing, and then comes the part of launching your website, where you can, you feel proud of yourself That is the part where you feel either satisfied with your project, satisfied with the efforts you put in, or you know you need you feel you need a little more work is still to be done on your project. So launching is that part. Launching, the steps in launching, we will cover that too in our guide. Now the most important part, managing. Suppose you have created your content, suppose you have created your website, but you do not have the tools or the skills to manage your website. Then what does that mean? All your effort, all your hard work sums up to nothing. You created something and then let it go to waste. This is the reason why managers are highest paid in companies. Companies pay hefty sums to managers, handsome salary to managers, to manage their creation. They manage the creation, they retain that creation and sustain it for longer period of use. So that is how important managing, or the management of maintenance, actually maintenance, managing, actually the same thing, maintenance of the website. Well, maintenance is a little different and managing is way different. We will not delve into that part. I guess you get my idea. Now let us go and explore these steps in detail. Now first we come to planning. The first stage is planning. Now in planning your website, you have to find the purpose of your website. Now what do I mean by purpose? When you think of building a website, producing a website, you have some end users in your mind, people who are going to use your website. Like, what kind of products, what kind of services, what kind of you know media you want to display on your website. Based on that, there are certain types of website which are there that I can explain. One of those is blog. Blog is perhaps the most widely used and most popular. Like, blogs, what are blogs? Blogs are platforms where you can share information about the knowledge. You can share your knowledge. If you have a knowledge of technology, knowledge of web designing, say knowledge of you know some machinery, on that blog you can just go and write your heart's content, and people will read, people will get information from that. Like, people write travel logs. Those who travel a lot, they write travel logs, and people who read it, they get an idea how to prepare for that particular place, in which season to visit that place, the best season to visit that place, hotels they can find, and many 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 more things from that blog. So that was blog is. Blog has a personal touch also. A person explores his personal hobby through blogs. Now the next comes e-commerce, websites where you can sell your products. Now you might have a business which deals in products, which deals in manufacturing or procuring an item and selling it. Now going online gives you a wide horizon, wide range of customers who you can sell your products to. E-commerce is like the call of today. If your business is located into a geographical area, it is limited by geographical limitations. But if you take your business online onto an e-commerce platform, you take your business to the world. Or in other words, I can say the whole world comes to you and sees your products, explores your product and buys it. So that is what the beauty of e-commerce is. So that is one kind of website you can decide to build depending on your needs. The other website types of websites are media and entertainment websites, where you put content, like media content, videos, photos, other things. Imagine you are a photographer, you are a professional photographer, and you want to display your work to production houses, to people, to the clients, to prospective clients you think The thing people who you think can give you work. So what you do, you design a website, media website, specifically, and you put all your work, all your photographs onto that website, and people visit and they just admire your work, and they might even offer you work. So that is what another kind of website is. The other kind of website I can tell you about is services. Now, what services? Services, for example, I can cite Urban Clap. Urban Clap is one where one platform, one e-commerce platform which provides services for your home, like AC cleaning, AC servicing, fumigation, and many more. Like there are plethora of services available from urbanclap.com. Even I avail AC servicing from them. So these are some broad categories of websites that you can decide to build upon, and depending on your need, depending on your goal. So once you have defined the purpose of your website, once you know what kind of website you want to design, produce, it becomes easier. You can go ahead and go to the next step. And what's next step? Research, the most important part for everything. Like, you do not learn if you do not read. That's the truth. You knowledge is not always generated, it is passed upon. It is passed from one to other, and then to other person. So once you get the idea of your website, what kind of website you want, you visit those kind of websites, and you get a look and feel of those websites. You get the idea. You can those websites can expand your ideas. They can give you a lot more, lot more ideas about how to go ahead with your website and plan your website further. So it is a must step to do. You must research similar websites and then go ahead and write your content. Now, the content is the soul and essence of a website, and it must be unique. People, professional businesses hire professional content writers for their websites. Now, why is that so? Like, let me tell you, you cannot just copy paste somebody else content and flash them on your website, and you know just proudly say that you produced something. That is called plagiarism, and trust me, that is illegal. So you need unique content, specific to your website, specific to your needs, the content that describes your products, your ideas to people. So content is the most important part of a website building process. Once you have your content ready, it becomes very easy to build websites. So I would always suggest to create content first and then go on designing your website. Although I myself have sometimes you know gone to website designing first, and then writing content for it, but I would not suggest that to beginners. I also like now I take a approach of writing content first and then building websites. It saves a lot of time. After you have your content ready, what you need is tools. Tools are most important. Like, I think I have you know labeled everything very important, and actually everything is. But without tools you are like helpless. So what are the tools available to us in website building process? Now, these tools depend on your websites, the purpose of your website, what kind of websites you want to create. Now, for blogs or media websites, you can choose to build static websites. Now, what are static websites? Now, there are two kinds of websites: static and dynamic. For e-commerce and services, I would always suggest a dynamic website. The difference, why I suggest dynamic websites, because the content on e-commerce and services website is regularly updated, every minute, every second, every hour. And static websites have the drawback of, you know this updation process. It becomes difficult to update them on the go, on the fly. Now let me explain what a static website is. Static websites are websites, which are built upon HTML and CSS, which are the tools you will pick to build, you know your static website. HTML, CSS, and a little bit of jQuery into that, JavaScript. So what happens that in HTML and CSS there is no scripting. Now we can go on length about what scripting is, but in nutshell I will explain. Scripting is a programming language which automates the work for you. It's like machine language, like machine automates your work. You code in particular commands, and those commands are executed by the end user, and result is obtained. But in HTML and CSS there is no script. There is pure codes, and you need to edit those codes every time you want to update, you want to change something, you need to update those codes. That's the basic difference in between dynamic and static websites. There is no scripting in static websites. But I'm not saying that static websites are bad altogether. There are certain advantages to the static websites as well, especially for the beginners, because they are very easy to build. HTML and CSS are easy languages. I wouldn't say easy languages, but comparatively easier to learn. Whereas the other languages, which I will come to in a moment, are relatively difficult to grasp at first. Now these are easier. HTML and CSS are easier. The static website building is easier. It's cheaper. It's cheaper because the tools come free of cost, and the hosting, even the hosting of static websites, is on many websites. You can find hosts at very cheap rates, like comparatively cheaper rates from dynamic websites. But after you have moved from being a beginner to an intermediate or advanced into coding, you can design dynamic websites. And for those, you'll need to learn tools like Python, PHP, MySQL, and ASP.NET, and many other. These three I find very important in building dynamic websites. Now, why this dynamic websites are easier to update is because of this SQL, that structured query language. SQL creates databases, and those databases are interlinked, and because of the interlinkages you are able to update a data which is contained into 100 pages of your website at once. Because the data is linked, you update it at one place, it gets updated in all 100 pages. Whereas in HTML and CSS you need to edit the code in all 100 pages to make one change happen. So this is why updating a static website becomes difficult. So depending on your need, depending on your level of expertise, you can choose to either build static websites or dynamic websites, and so in accordance you can choose to learn these tools. I would always suggest to start with HTML and CSS, and then go ahead and learn Python and PHP, including SQL. Now this sums up the planning part of our website design. Now you know the purpose of your website, you have created your content after doing research and a lot of other things. and you also have picked up your tools, learned your tools. Now what next? Next come designing your website. Now designing, approach to designing for a beginner, I always even in the starting, before starting this guide, I told that I will have something for the beginners as well as intermediate and advanced level coders. Now for beginners it is easy to choose a free template. There are many free templates available online. You can go you can google free templates, and you can find n number of free templates available. You can pick one, go into its coding, edit it, change the look and feel of the template, play around it and learn coding, learn familiarize yourself with html and css and jquery. And trust me, I love everything that is free. I love free stuff, and who doesn't? Everyone does. Nothing works like free things. So, but when you are comfortable with coding, comfortable with languages, and have played enough around free templates, next step comes where you design your own website. And trust me, there is no better feeling than designing your own website. And once you have designed your own website, you feel like a superstar, and who doesn't? It's an amazing feeling to design something of your own and show it to people, boast to the people that yes, look at this, I designed this website, I made this tab, I made home page, I did that, I did this. It's amazing. So once you are done with designing part, and for record I can tell you, um, all this learning, from beginners to intermediate, takes not more than 2 to 3 months. If you're serious about it, if you put in your hard work, if you practice, if you play around the free templates, it will take you 2 to 3 months at most to become familiar with html and css, and then you can design your own website. Now after you're done with designing part, there comes launching of the website. Yes, the part I was talking about, where you feel proud of your achievements. Now, launching your website actually means that you have your website ready, you have your pages ready, and now you want to put it on an online platform for people to see, make it live. For launching your website, what you need to do is buy a domain. Now some people already have a domain before they actually plan a production of website, or even begin planning designing a website. uh, it happens because of the non availability, the fear of non availability. People already, people have certain choices, they book that domain and keep it safe for later development, and that's super fine. Like, that is the approach you should have. You should get the things when it is available. But there is nothing to worry about. Even if you have not purchased one, you can purchase after you have designed your website. And even if a .com domain is not available, which is the most popular, which is the most popular perhaps on search engine optimization as well, you can go with .in, .org, org, I guess I say, .in, I already said .in, .info, .uk, that is for UK, England. You can go for .ind, .in. So there are multiple options, and even cheaper ones, I guess. So yes, if you only want a .com website, then you need to adjust a little bit, change the name here and there, and then you can find your domain name. For domain name registration, you can go to GoDaddy or HostGator. I usually go to these two websites and take my domain name. I also sometimes go to A2 hosting and buy my domain. So these are three websites where I go and buy domains for my clients. Now after you have bought a domain, you need to buy hosting services. Now there is a difference between domain name and hosting services. Do not confuse one with another. Domain name, consider domain name as your name, means as the name of your website, and hosting an address. So what you do is you find a name and then an address for that name. And hosting services, they provide you servers where you can put your website, means the files related to your websites, the files that you have designed, the pages that you've designed. You can upload those on those hosting platforms, and your website is up and running. So that is what you can do. Now, hosting services, I prefer A2 hosting and HostGator. Why not GoDaddy? I won't say that they are bad, but comparatively they are slow. When compared to A2 hosting and HostGator, they are slower. I have been using GoDaddy, hosting for some time, and I have felt a little lag in my websites, which may not, which might be a personal experience for me, uh, some other reason, but I personally prefer A2 hosting and HostGator for hosting services. Now, once you have bought a host, I already told you, upload your files, upload the web files, web design files to your hosting site, and be done with it. Now, to upload that, you get something called control panel from your hosting services, where you can log in and using your file services or file upload services, you can upload your files. Or alternatively, you can use this software, which is this website or software actually called CyberDuck, which makes it super easy to upload your files in a go, and make your websites live. Now, there is one thing that I need to cover in this. Imagine you buy domain name from one and hosting services from another provider. Now, in that case, you need to forward or redirect your domain to the URL of your hosting services, or the IP address of your hosting services. Now, there are certain steps involved into that. For that, I will be making another video, which you can come and see and refer to learn it, or you can just YouTube it. There are many videos on it, but I will also be uploading videos on that. Now, once you are done with all these steps, your website is live. You can go and type in your domain name and just see your website. Just type in the domain name, and you can see the your efforts coming live on your website. Now, after launching, are you done after launching? No, you are not. Don't sit easy. Here comes the hardest part: managing your website. As I already have mentioned, if you have created a beautiful thing, you must maintain it. You must keep it in a sustainable stage to be used for a long time. For that, you need to update it regularly, and this is where static websites are a pain. You to update your static website, see, if there are 4 5 pages, mm, it's not that tough, that difficult a job. But suppose you have a 30 35 pages or 50 pages, 50 plus pages of website, uh, you know designed using HTML and CSS. Then to update your content, you need to edit every page that needs to be updated, and then re-upload it on your hosting services, and then it will be updated. That is the difficult part on updating static websites. And there, this is where dynamic websites have an advantage. Now, in order to maintain or manage the content on your dynamic websites, you have beautiful tools, you have super powerful tools which are available to you. Which one of and there are three of them I have listed here. First of them is WordPress. Now, WordPress is well known to us all. It is super easy and flexible. Like, a person with no knowledge of coding, no expertise of languages, can use WordPress to update the content of his or site. And your hosting services allow you to install WordPress on their server. And these are server based applications that I'm telling you about. These content management systems are server based. You can install them on your server, and from there you can on your server side you can update your website. You do not need to upload the files again and again. You just can edit your website on the go, on the fly. This is an WordPress powers almost 30 to 31% of the website all over the world, and that is why it is the most popular you know tool, or CMS, you can say, content management system. The next in line comes Joomla, which is the second largest content management system. It is a little difficult, comparatively difficult, more difficult than WordPress, because there are plethora of options. There are you know it is a comprehensive solution. It has extensions, it has you know many options which I cannot describe in this video. So you can go ahead and learn Joomla. It will take some time, but once you get the expertise on Joomla, you can be a boss on designing websites, designing dynamic websites, which are the call of the day. And the next in line comes Drupal. Now Drupal is again an open source. All these are open source you know editors or content management systems, whereas WordPress does charge for premium services, plugins. So does Joomla, so does Drupal. For extensions and some premium plugins, they do charge you something, but all three are basically open source platforms, open source content management systems that you use. And now Drupal can be even more difficult than Joomla because of its complex nature. It has interlinkages, multiple interlinkages, but it is also the most advanced of these three. So I hope you get a rough idea of these content management systems with this video. Now uh, once you have learned how to manage your websites, update your websites, I think you are ready to go on to next stage and become a developer, become a website designer. I hope this video has been helpful in explaining you the process of production of a website and the tools involved in it and the steps that are required. I thank you all for watching this video with me, and also request you that if you need a professional service to design your website, then visit kesavivebsolutions.in to avail the services. And if you want to learn more about website designing and development, then you can visit kesavivebsol.blogspot.com, where there is content which is regularly updated, and you can learn a lot from there. So with this, I'm signing off, and thank you for watching this video, and see you next time then.